Fast Forward Productions. The women are speaking.
It was a breezy June day, sunny, delightful, perfect temperature, and it was sort of waving around real dreamy like. And I was driving down this road and I just was kind of overcome by this sense of I am supposed to live here.
God.
It was really strong. It was very, very moving.
You're listening to the Good Dirt Podcast. This is a place where we dig into the nitty-gritty of sustainable living through food, fashion, and lifestyle.
And we're your hosts, Mary and Emma Kingsley, the mother and daughter founder team of Lady Farmer. We're sowing seeds of slow living through our community platform, events, and online marketplace.
We started this podcast as a means to share the wealth of information and quality conversations that we're having in our world as we dream up and deliver ways for each of us to live into the new paradigm, one that is regenerative, balanced, and whole.
We want to put the microphone in front of the voices that need to be heard the most right now. The farmers, the dreamers, the designers, and the doers.
So come cultivate a better world with us. We're so glad you're here. Now, let's dig in.
Hello, folks. Today we have something a little different for you. It's our conversation with our friend Brittany Felton on her podcast, Yeah, I'd Hang Out With Her. Brittany is a friend from way back and the daughter of my good friend Lynn, both of them Lady Farmer supporters and enthusiasts from the very beginning. Listen in if you want to hear a bit more about our story, how we've evolved to where we are today, and just some good fun talk amongst friends. Because isn't that just what we need sometimes? So here we are, Mary and Emma on Yeah, I'd Hang Out With Her with our host, Brittany Felton.
Okay, well, welcome to Yeah, I'd Hang Out With Her, the podcast. Lady Farmer, Emma, and Mary.
Hello.
My friends.
Thank you for calling us Lady Farmer and not Lady Farmers.
Oh,
Yeah.
I would never. Even though that's become my favorite thing in the South is to say, like, I'm going to the Kroger's. Just add an S to everything. It's my new favorite thing to do. Anyway, thank you for being on my podcast.
Thank you
Oh.
for having us. This is so fun.
It
It's so
is
fun.
fun.
So many people on our podcast and no one ever has us on their podcast.
I said, okay, so a quick backstory, which I will definitely do a little intro of, but Mary and my mom, Bonnie Leanne, are
Yes.
just the closest of friends from forever ago. We
Yes.
had tossed around the idea of having her be a guest on this, but she's too shy. And also we wanted to highlight Lady Farmer. So, and you know, Bonnie's just a spotlight hog. So
Right. Well, we will do another one and we'll
The next
just like
time.
make her come on.
we're going to have to.
Yeah.
Well, I already told her she has to be my May podcast guest because Mother's
Mother.
Day.
Thursday.
I just told her we're going to drink Prosecco and then it'll be perfect.
That's
you know?
what we need to do. We've only done a small handful of podcasts the whole time where we've had wine or something, and they're always so fun. And we need to do that more often.
I think wine should be in every basic. I got a little drunk in my last cooking video and I feel like it's one of my finest pieces of work. So, okay. Well, Mary, I think I'm going to start with you.
Oh,
So I
right.
like to start the conversation off with your origin story or the pieces of your past that you feel really inform where you are today, which is living on your beautiful farm, running your beautiful company with your beautiful daughter, just all of these amazing things that, how are you where you are now, in your opinion?
Well, oh my goodness. You know, my origin story goes back pretty far because I'm
29,
how far back do you want me to go?
whatever feels important to you, you know?
Okay. Let's see. So I think what's coming to me right now is when, and there's so much before this happened, you know, like a whole lifetime. But when we moved out to the farm,
Yeah.
12 years ago now, you know, the kids were all raised up and off doing their own thing. And we had recently moved to DC and we found this place because I was driving out here literally every weekend to whatever pick your own thing was open and getting fresh produce and so forth. And we found this place and bought it and moved out here.
God, and I love the story of you finding this is such it speaks, and I know, Emma, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, to that piece of me that's like trying to manifest all the time. You driving around, and honestly, you've been doing this for you, because my mom would say that you would do this even in Georgia.
Oh, I
driving
did.
around looking for your piece of land.
It was like
I
a constant
did.
threat that we'd like move whenever mom found her, whatever.
Right?
I was doing this. I mean, from the time when I was trying to get babies to, well, before that, I was trying to get babies to nap in the car. I'd be driving around the country looking for properties, and it was always just this. It was, kind of vague. It was just I don't know what exactly I was looking for. And as the kids got older, and they would go on these rides, and as Emma said, aware of this quest. Yeah, it was quest. And they were always really scared. Oh, no.
Yeah, I was going to say, Emma called it a threat, actually.
Where is she going to make us
Sometimes
move?
we'd like go tour houses. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure your realtor friends were like so annoyed with you.
They probably were. Yeah, I probably made a lot of them mad because I never would decide. And I remember one of my sons saying to me at some point, "Mom, I don't think you're ever going to find it because nothing is ever it. You look at all these places and it's never it. It's never it." And so he happened to be with me they were both with me when we actually came to see this property. And he said to me, "Mom, is this it? This could be it. Couldn't it be it?" And I said, "Yeah, I think it could." And it was.
And it was.
Yeah.
And okay. So that was 12 years ago.
Mhm.
And that is was that just sort of, I don't know, it provided like a ground for y'all to build Lady Farmer on? Is that?
Yes,
Yeah.
it was.
Wow.
It became, I think of it as my playground, just a big, I could just play on the land, play with the land. Yeah.
Because you do so many different things. And I do want to mention this as well, that you are an author and you are a multitude of, which I love because I am too, doing all these things. It's amazing that, like, I don't know, you found this, you found the place.
Yeah.
To let all this bloom, including Miss Emma. What would you consider your origin story?
I think it is the job and experience that I had specifically in the year, but leading up to Lady Farmer, which seemed super random at the time. And I was like, what am I doing? But basically I had like followed this creative, she wasn't a blogger, but she was like a creative director, and her work was in like high-end weddings. And so she got paid a lot of money to like make weddings really pretty, which I was like, how do you do that as a job? And that was actually kind of before like the wedding industry. That was before pre-Pinterest and like all of that. So it really was like kind of weird. Now it's way more normal. But anyways, long story. I had emailed her at some point, like several years before that, and was like, I'm really interested in your job. And so we kind of had this relationship over email. She was really sweet and kind of like a mentor, always happy to give advice. And I ended up, she ended up offering me like an apprentice position with her, where I moved in with her family and I was like a nanny for her kids. She had 4 kids, but all of them were in school. So, I would also do some work with her during the day and kind of like see what she did. So just so happened that year, she wasn't actually doing too many weddings. She was building an online business for teaching other creatives how to build their wedding businesses. So, and this was again, like early days of like online courses and online business stuff. And I don't know, that's not something that I would have ever been like, yeah, I want to learn how to do that. But I was just interested in her and whatever she was doing. So I sort of like absorbed, just picked up a lot of that. And then, it was also the first time I experienced, or like I had the idea of like freelance creative life. Like, what is that like? And I would watch her like
Yes.
go to the office every day, but it was kind of like every day was different. And I was like, this is interesting.
Mm.
And then at the end of that year, they were moving out of Boston. I wanted to stay in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
But I would
Because she
have
had met somebody.
Mm.
Um,
Would that be your husband?
my now husband. But even then though, Mom, I mean, you say that, but we hadn't been dating that long. I mean, that wasn't like the reason. I
Well-
love Boston. I just wanted to stay
You just loved Boston.
You did end up moving back, and
and I did end up moving back.
he followed you.
He did. But like, I was like, I love Boston. I love this life. But, and I'm like, I've been doing this like crazy, weird, creative thing, but it's looking like if I'm going to stay here,
Yeah.
I need to make like at least $80,000 a year. Okay. What makes $80,000 a year? And I was like, 25, 26.
Yeah.
I was just like, wow, this is depressing. I don't know what
Yes.
I'm going to do.
I know.
So I watched this movie. It was on Netflix. It's called The True Cost. It's a documentary about fast fashion. And I was like,
I remember.
whoa, this is cool. And I just kind of got obsessed with the idea of fashion being a
Yeah.
way to like engage with the climate crisis and how much it touched so many parts of the problems of humanity
Right.
in the world. And I was just like, wow, this feels really meaningful to me. So, and then in the movie does a really good job of explaining how intertwined agriculture and the food movement is intertwined with the fashion movement. So I was like, made me think of my mom and like what she's doing.
Mm.
So I was just like, Mom, it's really cool. I like watched this documentary and it reminded me of like what you've been thinking about in the past, 5 or however many years she was at the farm at that time.
Right.
And all the things you're doing. And so we sort of were like, there's a lot of overlap here with this kind of like awareness bubbling up. And specifically because it was like fashion, I was like, what if we design a line of clothes that's like
Yeah.
sustainably made? That sounds fun, right? And
Easy.
the whole story. Yeah, easy. We'll call it Lady Farmer because like
What year are we in at this point? Is this like 2015?
2016.
2016. That's what I thought. The seed was in fashion though. It was let's start
Totally.
a fashion line.
Yes.
And it
I'm
was, I don't have a
obsessed.
job lined
Yeah.
up. I don't know what I'm doing. This sounds fun. I can get like really excited about this. I know how to like buy a domain and
Yeah.
like, start a Squarespace website and like, yeah, let's do it. Whatever. Like, what do we have to lose?
Mhm.
We won't go there.
Well, no, we won't go into what do we have to lose, but honestly, what it's bloomed into just from that seed, because it started a fashion and now it's it is
whole
an
universe.
it's an empire. But it is this beautiful community that you have built of slow living and sustainability. Mary and Emma also have this incredible podcast called The Good Dirt. It is what it has grown into. Could you have ever foreseen that?
Gosh, no, because we didn't know where it was going. We thought we were gonna be making sustainable clothing,
Right.
but it is just really gone
I
from
will say,
one thing
I
to the
thought
next.
We were building like a website. Like I thought we were
Mm.
building a blog, like a really, I was picturing in the future there'll be a website and a blog and you'll be
Yeah.
able to search all things related to this. And we haven't done that, but I feel like the podcast is kind of like a different version of that.
That and the almanac and your Substack and all of it. It is.
Yeah.
I mean, I think because I just was talking about that piece that I wrote this last Monday that was sort of like being at a point in your life where you have a bit more of a bird's eye view and you can sort of look
Mhm.
down and go, whoa, these pieces that at the time seemed worthless are literally the building block for where I am now. Whoa.
It's so crazy. And just to pat myself on the back and be like, wow, I'm so wise.
You are.
When I took that job with Joy, the woman in Boston, I was like, I knew going into it, it was like hard to explain to people. I had been living in France at the time.
Yes.
And I was like,
So chic.
it was so chic. It's hard to explain to people. I didn't know how to, especially to French people. They were like, "What are you doing?
Yeah.
Gonna go do blogging?" I don't know.
Yeah, of course.
And even American people were like, "Okay," and
Mhm.
I was like, "I know it sounds weird, but I really just think it's a piece of the puzzle." Like I was like, "It's
Mhm.
just a piece of the puzzle." Like I don't know why, I don't know how, but I really, really felt that way.
You knew it.
Um,
It was that instinct feeling.
and that's 100% what it was. Like so many things about that year from like the online business, like so random that she's like, this is how you do a marketing campaign. And like,
Right.
here's how you, here's some basic graphic design stuff. And here's
Mm.
some copyright. Like, how would it's just so weird.
It's so weird how things like that line up. But it's the same. I don't know, Mary. It's like what you were saying about being like, I was driving around looking for something and I didn't even know necessarily what I was looking for,
Mhm.
but the feeling that you're sort of
Oh,
going after,
can I tell you this woo-woo piece of it?
please, my favorite.
Okay. Driving around, I was coming out here. It was like late May, early June. I was coming out to get strawberries.
And I think important to say, it wasn't like in Georgia, it had always been like, I got to go find the thing. But I don't think
Mm.
it wasn't like an urgent search for like, we got to go find this now. I think
Right.
we
Well,
were really just like,
I was in the habit of driving out here to the ag reserve to get the berries, and it was very accessible, and it was just sort of a weekend thing I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I was driving down this road, and the grass in the fields was up, and there was a night, it was a breezy June day, sunny, delightful, perfect temperature, and it was sort of waving around real dreamy like. And I was driving down this road, and I just was kind of overcome by this sense of I am supposed to live here.
Oh my God.
It was really strong.
Mm.
It was very, very moving. And so later that day when I went home, I of course immediately went to the internet
Of course.
and was started in searching. And the first thing that popped up was this house. This house popped up first thing. It was right there.
And it
And
was
so
what you had
then,
driven by?
yeah, like,
yes.
like I guess you wouldn't have seen it from the road where you were, but
Oh my
So it
gosh.
was in a few days later. Well, I guess the next weekend we're out picking
Yeah.
berries, and I had the two kids with me. And um, she called me, the realtor called me. I put on, how on the internet, you can say, I'm interested in this.
Sure.
So it wasn't until the next weekend that she called me while I was in the car
we
Mhm.
happened to be going to
there.
the farm.
Yes. And she said, would you like to come look at it? And I said, well, I'm about a half a mile from it right now. Can I go now?
What?
And she said, yeah, you can. So we just drove up, and that's when we drove up and got out. And that's when my son said, Mom. Yeah.
And it was just
So
a feeling. So everybody had the feeling. It sounds like.
Yeah, I think my
did you
brother
have
and
the
I were-
feeling, Emma?
Yeah, we were excited about it. It looked cool. I mean, it definitely it wasn't like a total fixer upper, like run down, but it definitely
Right.
It's a
just looked like
200-year-old house.
yeah,
Yeah.
it looked like a canvas
It's beautiful.
that you could put your whatever
It
on.
does look like a canvas.
And
And
it
then
was
when I was
just
there, I took
weird
so
how-
many pictures just of like the sheep and like
Yeah.
the tree. Like it's the trees next to the driveway. It's stunning. How
Mm.
many acres are you on?
Just 7. It is a
Mm.
very historic house. It's been here
Yeah.
200 years.
Mm-hmm.
And at one time it had just hundreds and hundreds of acres, but as things have grown and
Mhm.
things have been subdivided up,
Sure.
this little piece of it was kind of left in between, which is really kind of perfect. It's perfect size. It's plenty, believe you me. Um,
7 acres is a lot. I mean, it's big.
it is. It's a lot
Mhm.
for the two of us, and certainly like it's my playground. We're
Mhm.
not, we're not growing commodity crops, so
Sure.
volume and yield are not big priorities. We just
Right.
are
You have fun.
having fun. We're having fun. Got a few animals and all that kind of thing. Yeah. So yeah, it is a 200-year-old house. It's on the historic register because it
Gosh.
has this historic sandstone that was quarried nearby on the Potomac River. So
And it was calling to you.
It was so
And
calming.
I also have this memory of like, it was a little bit maybe like with my job thing where it was like, this is something that like sounds cool and that we want to do. Like, is this it? It was kind of like, is this it? And then I was like, does this make sense? It kind of didn't make sense on like the
Y'all,
idea of it. Cause it was like, why do they need to move? I don't know. It's not that far from their current house.
That wasn't
And
the
then,
original plan to move.
Right.
yeah, it wasn't really, but then like on paper, for whatever reason, financially, it actually was like, for whatever reason I can't explain, like kind of did make sense for them.
Mhm.
It was, the whole thing was
Mhm.
just like, I guess we're doing this. It was,
But isn't that, I mean, like that I landed back in Atlanta 3 weeks before the first lockdown.
Yeah.
That's one of those things, you know, where you're just like, how
Yeah.
does, we don't know. I don't think it's supposed to make sense. It's amazing. And there is such a magical element to the farm, to even, I mean, Lady Farmer is magical, you know, it really is. It really is.
It feels magical to me. It's to me, it's like it's so much fun to have a
Yes.
platform to be able to share your passions and your concerns and things you have all this energy around, and
Yes.
to be able to share it with people who are interested
Mhm.
in the same thing and want to receive it. It's so gratifying to know that, oh, I have people I can share this with. I have a
Mhm.
community that will get benefit from
Yes.
my experience and knowledge. And, it doesn't have to be a giant community. It doesn't have to be millions of
Yeah.
people. Like whoever
No.
is out there that wants to hear it and is interested,
They
I'm
will find
game.
you.
Yeah.
It's honestly, and I'm obsessed with metaphor, but it's the same thing as the house calling to you and finding you. That's what Lady Farmer is. It calls to the people who want to hear it and want to be here for it. And as we know, I think that the pandemic experience cracked that open in so many people, this desire to slow down and
Mhm.
appreciate the smaller things in life, which maybe y'all can talk a little to the mission of Lady Farmer and sustainability, slow living, and sort of what that means.
We've just been recording some episodes where we're
Mhm.
just kind of trying to narrow that down for people
Yeah.
and just crack it open and explain like what is slow living, because I think a lot of people hear that and they go, oh, that's not for me, I'm too busy, and
Sure.
I have a job and a kids and all that sort of thing. But I think our message is it's really just about paying attention to your life, paying attention to the decisions you're making, paying attention to how you're using, as we say so often, your time,
Mhm.
money, and resources,
Mhm.
and making the small shifts that just help you live your life in a way where you are more present, you are experiencing things in a more real way rather than just rushing through the day and checking off the list and keeping to the schedule, and all these things that we associate with the way we live now. Doesn't have to be that way. And you
Mhm.
don't have to quit your job. You don't have to move to a farm. You know, you don't have to change things drastically. Really, all you need to change, and I feel like we say this over and over again, is how you look at things.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say like to really simplify it, maybe too much. It's really, slow living is like maybe mindfulness and a little bit of intention and slowing down to like notice things and how you feel. And then the way that we sort of go into it is with the idea of sustainability and living
Mhm.
closer with the earth and thinking about those things as a way to slow down. And also, when you do those things, you have to slow down. I don't
Yeah.
know. So that's where it's all connected for us, and that's where we get really excited, and find a lot of like gratification in our own lives and
Yeah.
inspiration in our own lives. So that's sort of, it's actually, it seems like a very big and like there's a lot there, but it's actually pretty specific, and it's really
Yeah.
amazing. Doing
And
the podcast, like how much comes back to that. So
Yeah.
And as for the sustainability piece, so much of it has to do with observing our own consumer habits,
Yes.
because so much of what we see as being hectic and hurried and rushed and not present, we feel like is tied to our consumer lifestyles,
Mm-hmm.
because we're bombarded with messages about what we need, what we have to have, what
Yep.
we should buy, the things we have to do to be able to afford to buy, all of
Mhm.
these things that we need to be happy,
Right.
to be successful in life. And there's all these messages because, let's face it, we live in this society that runs on people buying things. And
Yep.
that means you and you and you. And when we back off of that a little bit, we're not going to depart from it. You hear about people living off the grid and all this sort of thing,
Mhm.
but okay, how many people is that? Not very many. Okay.
Right.
So, and most of us really don't want that anyway.
Right.
Okay. It's just the ability to witness the decisions you're making and how
Right.
and why. Why are you engaging in this particular purchase,
Mm-hmm.
activity, whatever?
Yeah.
What am I doing and why? And is
Yes.
this what I want? It's what I need to be doing right now for my best life.
Yeah.
And so
How-
many times
Yeah.
it comes up when you really explore those little isolated decisions. It comes up like, no, I don't need to be doing this. I don't need to be buying this.
Oh, it's
I-
so simple, really, when
Yeah.
you boil it down.
Yes.
How have you seen that evolve for people? Because I feel like there's, ideas have to sort of be
Mhm.
presented into consciousness for people to then, and then it just becomes kind of second nature almost. So I feel
Yes.
like this became a broader conversation, of course, when we were all forced to slow our lives down. But now it feels, do you feel as much resistance these days? Are you feeling like more people are wanting to engage with this kind of lifestyle? I feel like people have more of a language for it now anyway.
Mhm.
And I think people have gotten kind of honest with really wanting I don't know, it just seems like it's such a human thing to want to be able to enjoy things, and able to do that, you have to kind of have time, right? And consideration. I'm going on a tangent, but back to the original question. Have you felt people evolve into having the space to really appreciate slow living?
I think so. I think the pandemic was a really big turning point for a lot of people. And that's actually also happens to be another weird universe thing. Like the year that we started the podcast,
Mhm.
and we actually,
Oh, wow.
We came out with the book, The Lady Farmer Guide to Slow Living.
Mhm.
It was actually like ready to go basically all of 2019.
Yeah.
And we kept pushing off that launch because we wanted to like do it justice and make sure we were like doing the right marketing around it and had all the energy for it. And then like one randomly late 2019, we were like, let's just like, people are thinking about these things in the spring. Like the cover has a lot of like springy stuff on it. Let's just like have this come out in March 2020.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because that is when I read it, was like in that summer.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was weird. And I think really
Mhm.
helped contribute to just like the circumstances, and people were attracted to the book and and then we also had the podcast going, which I don't think we actually intentionally thought about the podcast and the book sort of coming out around the same time. But
Right.
we're able to have much like more in-depth conversation, even though my mom said, even though we are doing these recordings where we're trying to do a little bit of going back to square one and like welcoming
Yeah.
people where they are if they're just starting out. So we are doing some of that, but I feel
Mhm.
like in general, there is a little bit less explaining of like why we're doing this and why it matters. Like I think people get that. Like
Yeah.
versus when we started, it kind of felt like pulling teeth a little bit. Like this
Mhm.
matters though, because sustainable fashion. Why are we talking about sustainable fashion? Because sustainable fashion is like really bad for the planet.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think people in general understand that now.
Yeah.
And that definitely wasn't the case in 2016. So And also there's just with every year there's like there's less like convincing that there's
Yeah.
actually something that we need to
Yes.
care about, and more I think the attitude is it fluctuates, but like what I like about Lady Farmer and the Good Dirt podcast and what I hope we can serve people is like a hopeful and like positive way in to engage with this stuff as opposed to just like the despair of it all.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
Let me tell you about what it's like to drift to sleep on a 100% natural wool pillow sourced from regenerative farms, wrapped in a lovingly handmade organic cotton pillowcase. Oh wait, I can't. I think it's just something you're going to have to try for yourself. Holy Lamb Organics is proud to carry on a centuries-old tradition of making beautiful textile products by hand. Combining heritage methods with pristine natural and organic materials and sustainable business practices, they bring a dedication to healthy living and the environment. Everything Holy Lamb does reflects their devotion to the planet and its inhabitants. From their supply chain to their manufacturing processes to their facilities management, nothing happens without considering the environmental impact. Most importantly, they're also dedicated to fair labor practices, secure working conditions, diversity, and inclusion. From the farm to the mill to their partner manufacturers, everyone shares the same high ideals of a safe, respectful workplace and environmentally conscious methods. Making good products enables them to do good work. Every time we order something from Holy Lamb Organics, we're proud to support a small town made in America company. You can find Holy Lamb Organics in the Lady Farmer Marketplace. For additional marketplace discounts, you can join the Almanac, our member-supported community platform. Find Holy Lamb Organics products including pillows, sheets, natural wool comforters, and more in the bedding section of the Lady Farmer Marketplace at www.ladyfarmer.com.
So we had decided we wanted to come out around the spring equinox, so it's right around that time. And the tagline. So one of the delays was that every time we got a sample back, the color of the cover was off. So we kept having to do that over. So that was delaying it, week after week. So finally we got it. Okay, we're going to be ready for the spring equinox. And the tagline we'd come up with was the Lady Farmer Guide to Slow Living, cultivating sustainable simplicity close to home. This was like the week of the shutdown. So I just think that was...
Isn't it wild?
I know, it's wild. Okay. So I want to talk about the whole effect of the pandemic because I thought things were really going to change. And they did change. They changed in a really big way. People were super reflective and they really got it. And they experienced what it was like not to be running the rat race all the time. And they got a taste of slow living. Some people did. I think some people were super harassed and stressed from their circumstances. I don't want to minimize the hardship that it had on a lot of people.
No, absolutely.
In terms of working from home and having their kids and all that in school, at home. But it did turn things upside down and people got to experience a different kind of life, right? And honestly, I thought more of it would stick out in the wider world. Now, I think, people did get a taste of it and there's this term, the Great Resignation. People decided they didn't want those jobs that they had been slaving away at. And there was a lot of consciousness shifting, I think, during that time. But I've been a little surprised to how much, like a boomerang, it just kind of went just all the way back to normal. So I think what we're dealing with now and hearing and speaking to is that residual stuff that lingers from people getting the taste of it and wanting more of it. But now that life is back to normal, air quotes, they really are seeking a way for more of that. But as that has happened, it feels to me also like the climate change discourse and the urgency around it and the fact that this is really happening, people, and it's happening faster than we thought. I feel like
Right.
that has picked up. I feel like there's more widespread, um, I don't want to use the word alarm, but it
But
does feel like
urgency,
there's
maybe.
alarm, urgency,
Hmm.
absolutely urgency. That's a good word for it. And because of that, I just feel like what we're talking about and the people we talk to and what we're working towards is just, it started out relevant and it just becomes more and more relevant, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just am so, that's just another one of those things. Like, I mean, somehow we just hit on something that I think uh, its role in the social discussion is
Yes.
getting stronger.
And how amazing to think that it started from that seed of using fashion as sort of the way in
Yeah.
to that
Yeah.
conversation. And now you have an entire platform that
Hmm.
fosters that conversation
Yeah. That
in
amazes
such
me.
a, yeah, in such a broad spectrum.
Yes, and even the name of our podcast, The Good Dirt.
Hmm.
Emma thought of it. It felt playful. It felt
Good,
fun. It
Emma.
fit. But it just amazes me how that continues to serve what we're
Yes.
trying to get at.
Hmm.
It
Yes.
just and even through these conversations and these interviews, and the more I read and learn, the more we read and learn and talk to these people, it all does kind of boil down to the good dirt and
It all comes down to that soil piece, right?
the soil and the metaphorical aspect of that as well. And
Absolutely.
every one of the people that we interview, we ask them, what does the good dirt mean to you? And
Hmm.
people come up with all sorts of responses to that. But what, in answer to your question, which was a long time ago, but that our mission and what we're talking about and what we're trying to get people to understand and
Hmm.
see, it just, to me, it feels more and more relevant as the time passes.
Yeah. I think and I, gosh, I'll just speak to my own kind of personal journey with it,
Hmm.
which included the very kind of basic and yet tactile, slow living sort of applications, which was starting my own sourdough program,
Hmm.
gardening, sewing, these things that make you be present, you
Yeah.
know? Um, I think people can feel so helpless when you're talking about the big conversation of, you talk about any world travesty, let's just pick climate change and how scary that can be and how could I possibly make an impact.
Hmm.
The beauty of Lady Farmer, the conversations that you're having, the almanac, the community is, I think that it does really highlight well, if you are doing your best and being
Hmm.
intentional with your decisions, that is how you can make the big impact. At least that's what it has done for me. I did the slow living journey, the handbook in 2020, and it really was, I feel so much better myself. There's no way that that's not going to help serve other people, you know?
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
my that's my testimony.
Well,
I love that
and
you actually did the
I love that
21-day slow living shift.
Oh, I'm
in the back of the book.
fangirl, number one fangirl. I've been here since the beginning, y'all.
Yeah. Well,
I'll give Riverside too.
okay. No, I do want to say to anybody and everybody listening, when you think of slow living or you think of slowing down or being present,
Mm,
your first reaction is, oh yeah, 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 whatever. I can't do it. It's not for me. Whatever. But if anyone is even just thinking about it, if it
mhm.
has just occurred to you, I would like a little more slow in my life. And we say so often, slow doesn't have to do with time.
Yeah.
You can have a lot of slow and not change anything on your schedule at all.
Yep. Yep.
So I just want to encourage people that even if this is an idea for you and you
Mhm.
feel like you haven't done anything about it, but you're thinking about it, you're on your way.
Yes. Well, Emma and I don't think that we were recording when we were talking about this, Emma, but we're both, actors, and that idea of having to wait to be happy or wait, to be given permission, when really the happiness can lie. I always use the example of just in making your cup of coffee, like in pouring cream into a cup of coffee. That can be slow and that can be happy. And that's 15 seconds. It feels like a dawning though. Like you have to actually realize, oh, I don't actually have to wait. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't have to wait till I have the farm or the thing or the mason jars.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
God,
Yeah.
we love a mason jar, don't we?
But
Yeah,
what's
here I am
funny is
drinking my tea out of the mason jar.
you don't have to have any of that stuff, but when you start, we always say this too, when you start paying attention and making like these little tiny micro decisions, like all of a sudden your cabinet is full of mason jars.
Right.
You're like, oh. And like you didn't have to, it doesn't mean you have to like get rid of all the stuff you have and get a bunch of jars off Amazon so that you can have it. It's more, it is slow. It's like a gradual, and then one day you find yourself on your farm. I don't know. It's just,
Well, I'd like to say it doesn't mean you have to do anything.
Yeah.
Except pay attention
Yeah.
and notice and observe. And if you're observing, how you feel throughout the day and how you're reacting to your own circumstances, whatever they are, and you're willing to think about things a little differently, approach things a little differently, make tiny shifts in this or that, however small, then you will feel differently and you will see change. But you don't have to. No, you don't have to move to the farm. Heck no, that's not
But
for
maybe it'll
everybody.
happen. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Well, I love that conversation, and thank you for, providing a place for people to have it. It's so cool. Do you have like the future of Lady Farmer? Are we, do you want to talk about any of those sort of next project steps, plans?
well, we will have millions of downloads on our podcast.
Obviously.
No,
Obviously.
we're really loving the podcast, and it's growing very organically, perhaps a little slower than we would like, but that's okay. It's slow. I think we both have a lot of confidence that like it's just going to keep going. So there's that. We would like to continue for as long as we can and make sense in a sustainable for us way as well. To just have conversations with people and publish them and facilitate this kind of thinking and conversation. And we have in the past paid a little bit more attention to our online store. It is still there. Shout out. We have some lovely things for sale in our online marketplace.
I sleep on Lady Farmer sheets about every other week. If I had 2 sets, that's all I would sleep on. But
heck yeah.
I love them.
Yeah. So for anyone listening, you can check out our store, and we do hope in the future to like sort of bring that back. I think as bandwidth allows. I don't know, Mom. Do you have any other big hopes and dreams?
Yeah, I just want to say that, like right now, for the present moment, I really just love the conversations that we're having with people on the podcast. And I love the fact that it enriches my life so much because it draws me to books that I might not have heard of and people that are doing things that I might not have heard of. A lot of people reach out to us and ask to be on the podcast because of the topic.
I love that.
So I feel so privileged to be able to explore what these people are doing, to have a platform to share it with other people through the lens of Lady Farmer and framing it in all those ways. It's just so rich and I really love it. And there'll be a time where, okay, we've done that enough. We're going to go on to do the next thing or whatever. And, I think we'll know.
Yeah.
Do we have a 5-year plan? No, we probably should. Business coach will probably tell us to. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I would like to do more in the store. because I think there's products that people really would like to source.
For sure.
And so there's all kinds of ideas, but it always just boils down to like, at what point are we going to start feeling frazzled and fractured? And we just really try to keep it energetically sustainable for us, because I mean, my
Smart.
gosh, I have a wonderful, rich life out here too. And I don't
Yes.
want to be behind the computer screen all the time. So,
Well, I mean, it just circles back to exactly the conversation we've circled back to about 3 times now, which is if nothing else has proved to us that things happen and unfold organically
mhm.
and arguably magically, I
Yeah.
don't think, maybe we don't need to think so hard about our 5-year plan. And I
Yeah.
love that.
That's the kind of conventional advice, but
Yeah.
I've never really been able to do it very well because it always changes.
Well, I know that's the thing. It really does.
And-
And we think we can foresee, but we can't.
Yeah.
You don't know you just don't know.
I guess it would be great if the podcast grew to the point where, we never had to worry about funding it because people were
Yes.
clamoring to get on,
It's coming.
be our sponsors. That would be good. That's a good goal. We should put that out there, Emma.
I would
I
love
like
to
that.
get to, for the sake of manifesting, I'd love to get to the point where I get to do the things in the business that I really love doing. I don't have to do the stuff that I don't love. I don't know if
Yeah.
that happens though, but
I kind of
I don't know either.
do that.
yeah.
That's sort of what I do. Because I feel like I can pull my seniority by saying I don't want to do that.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
And-
I
and-
get to do the stuff that other people don't want to do.
In
Yeah.
general, I really
But I wonder, like,
Don't wanna do
people
things.
like, okay, girl
Do it.
boss extraordinaire Reese Witherspoon. She's like an empire. Like, I'm sure she has to do things she doesn't want to do.
Yeah.
I don't know.
you don't
I
think
think
she
that-
can just pick up the phone and call so and so and say, take care of that.
I feel like the scales start to tip though when you are loading one side with more of the things that you want to do, and the things that you don't want to do just gets a little, because I never want to go wait tables, ever.
Yeah.
But I'm doing so many things outside of that now that it feels like it's balanced itself
True.
more, But I don't know. Like, I don't really love flossing my teeth, but I have to do it every
doing
day.
Laundry.
I know, right? So the answer is no, Emma. We're always gonna have to do crap we don't want to do.
But
Well, this has been.
I guess to say it
Please.
in different ways. Like
Please.
I get really excited about working with other people who are like better at stuff than me. And I
Me
love like
too.
hiring people that are like better at stuff than me. And I can just be like, I can have an idea and then they can like make it really good. So I think that's more what I'm thinking.
I love that too. This is something I've been thinking about a lot lately, is everybody trying to fit into one mold of what success means. And it's like,
Mhm.
not everybody is a manager. You know what I mean? Not everybody is a CEO. I love that you said that. Just, how about if we just highlight what everybody's good at?
Mm.
That leads into human design too. I could talk to you for 3 hours, but in the sake of time, because we've been talking for about an hour, I would like to know what you are doing with the rest of your days today. Mary, you can go first.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's pretty and warm, and I will be outside in the gardens. And today, all right, according to the planting by the signs tradition, the astrological place of the moon is in Leo today. Okay.
Oh,
That is a fire sign. It's not a good planting day. So
okay.
I'm going to be out weeding and cleaning up. And I actually really enjoy that, like
Mm.
making things look better.
Mhm.
And as many of my listeners will know,
Yes.
our listeners, I have put off cleaning up out there until it's gotten really warm, because there are a lot of critters and pollinators and bugs and so forth that live inside what we used to call our, garden waste.
Yeah.
Now it's habitat. Okay. And so now that it's warm, I'm slowly starting to clear some of that up. Not all of it. And But in certain areas where I want to do other things, I'm gradually beginning to clean it up, and it's coming into shape. And April is just magical because things are small. They're just coming up. So you can see what's there. You can see what needs to be moved. You can see what needs to be, cut back or encouraged to grow bigger, whatever. So I just love April. So I will be outside the rest of the day, and I will take a long walk, which I do that just about every day. And
what about that cottage cheese you got on the stove?
Oh yeah. After this, I got to go check on that. I'm afraid that I don't know. Okay. For anybody out there that makes cottage cheese, it looked to me like not that many curds and a whole lot of whey. So I left it on there for a while. Thought, well, maybe it just needs to sit longer. So that might be a disaster.
I can't wait to hear.
But I do have bread rising. I'll put the bread in to bake.
Me too.
And I'm just going to have a great Lady Farmer day.
Gosh,
and
yes.
We have an almanac gathering tonight. So I'll look forward to that. Yeah.
I tell you what, I love it. Emma, what are you doing today?
Well, it's a little less of a Lady Farmer day. I'm actually, we're going to a family wedding this weekend, and I'm flying out tomorrow, and my parents are flying out the following day. So I have that day before travel stuff I got to do. I think I'm working on a big part of slow living that we talk about quite a bit is decluttering and making your spaces slow down for you. And a big area for me is my office area. See behind me, this is the one corner where there's not
chic
crap everywhere, but like my view this way is a little scary. So I think I'm gonna spend a couple hours in here, and get ready for travel tomorrow.
Yeah.
My real job is capital R. I'm a tutor. So I tutor kids. So I have tutoring this afternoon and evening, and then so lots of stuff.
I love it. Busy. So busy.
A little less gardening by the moon, but
we got the Lady Farmer down there doing the repping.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna wrap this up and stop recording, but thank y'all so much. I love you so much. This is so special.
I love you so much.
This was really fun, Brittany. And next, and tell her hello. And next time we're going to have her on here, and we're going to talk about. We could have a great conversation about what it was like bringing up teenagers while trying to do our creative thing. Here, I was trying to write a novel in the 90s and early 2000s. And Bonnie Lynn was painting in her studio. And this was before the era of texting.
Yep.
And we would talk, and the more we would talk on the phone. And like, how are you going to do it today? When are you getting to your studio? She'd ask me, did you get to write today? And we did this, and we were kind of like just, creative, artistic, mutual coaches or something.
Yes.
I don't know.
Accountability buddies.
Yes.
Yeah.
It would be a disservice not to mention that you had an Artist Way group in the 90s.
Yes. Was that in the 90s or early 2000s?
I don't know.
Remember.
90s?
It was somewhere around then. It was somewhere around the millennium thing.
I mean, that's, first of all, like beyond cool. It like makes me feel cool.
Yeah.
Well, the book was, I don't know when it was.
92, I think.
Yeah. Early 90s.
You guys were on it.
You really were.
You guys are trendsetters.
I've always said it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are.
We are. I mean,
we're trendsetters, we're artists, we're models, we are entrepreneurs, and abundant in every way.
Lady farmers. Yeah.
We're lady farmers. Okay, perfect. Thank y'all so much for being here. Don't go anywhere. I'm just going to stop recording, but I love you.
Bye. We love you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in, calling in, and spreading the good dirt. We love hearing from you. You can reach our listener voicemail at 443-459-1950. That's 443-459-1950. You can find this number in our show notes and in our Instagram profile.
This show is produced by Lady Farmer, a slow living lifestyle community, and the original music is composed and performed by John Kingsley.
For more from Lady Farmer, follow us on Instagram at We Are Lady Farmer. That's We Are Lady Farmer. Or join us online at www.ladyfarmer.com. We'll see you next time on The Good Dirt.
Goodbye.